Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. In today's tutorial, we shall talk about the concept of collective security in international relations. Well, collective security is a fundamental principle in international relations which is designed to ensure global peace and stability by fostering cooperation among states. So when we talk about collective security today at least in international relation is a very important principle, and this principle is basically designed in a such a way that through collective security you try to maintain a global peace and stability, and that is possible only through fostering cooperation among the state, through building friendship and cooperation among the state. So therefore the concept like the collective security is grounded in the idea that the security of one state is the responsibility of all, meaning that an act of aggression against one is treated as an act of aggression against all. And this collective approach aims to deter potential aggressor by promising a unified and overwhelming response, contrasting with the realist notion of self-help, where states primarily rely on their capabilities to ensure survival. So the concept of collective security is actually a very important principle in international relation, as we talked about, that it ensures global peace and stability, and therefore this concept is grounded in that idea that the security of one state is not just responsibility of that one state but the responsibility of all when you are part and parcel of collective security. So therefore that an act of aggression against one state would be treated by everybody an aggression against all, and therefore everybody will come to the rescue of that state, will come to help that state in order to secure the security of that state. And therefore the idea of collective security aims to deter any potential aggressor by showing that they are united, they are unified, and if they all come together to the rescue of that state, in that sense their response will be a big response in a way to protect the interest of that state. And therefore the aggressor should not try to attempt or should not try to be too aggressive against that particular state, knowing the fact that the particular state is a part and parcel of that collective security umbrella what they have formed. In fact, the League of Nations, which was established after the World War I, was the first major attempt at implementing the collective security. So basically it sought to provide a framework for peaceful dispute resolution and collective action against aggressor. However, its failure to prevent conflict like Japan invasion of Manchuria and Italy's invasion of Ethiopia exposed its limitation, such as the absence of key powers like United States and the lack of enforcement mechanism. So the League of Nations was one kind of an organization, one kind of a security umbrella, one kind of a collective security notion which was established after the First World War. And the idea of having this framework was to avoid any dispute, or even if there is a dispute, you resolve those disputes through peaceful resolution, through peaceful means, that is through collective action against aggressor, or that is through by going through a dialogue. However, end of the day, League of Nations failed because League of Nations failed to expose the Japanese invasion of Manchuria or Italian invasion of Ethiopia. And the reason why it failed, because it did not had a great power of that time, example United States of America, or League of Nations in fact never had any enforcement mechanism who would work on behalf of the League of Nations to prevent any conflict or to resolve any conflict. So therefore Although League of Nations was a classic example, but it failed eventually. Moving on, the United Nations created after World War II embodies the modern application of collective security. It its Security Council under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter is empowered to address threat to peace, including through sanctions or military intervention. For instance, the UN-led coalition during the Korean War of 1950s and 53 was an example of collective military action. Similarly, peacekeeping missions such as those in Rwanda and Bosnia reflect attempts to uphold collective security, albeit with mixed success due to political constraint and resource limitations. So, after the Second World War, we have a new organization coming up, new organization shaping the international politics and international relations, and so does the concept of security and the concept of collective security, and that was United Nations. So United Nations organization became a modern example where they try to apply the concept of collective security. And in fact, the Security Council, one of the most important organ of United Nations, under its charter or chapter 7 of the UN charter, empowered to address the threat to peace, including through sanctions and military intervention. What does it mean? It means that League of Nations did not have that mechanism to ensure peace, whereas United Nations under their own charter, they made sure that the Security Council would be responsible to enforce and empower the peace, and to do so they had a free run through sanctions if sanctions are necessary, or if a need arises they will also going to intervene militarily. And the classic example of this was a UN-led coalition during the Korean War of 1950s to 53 was in fact became the classic example of collective security. Similarly, apart from this UN-led coalition during the Korean War, there are various other peacekeeping missions which United Nations has undertaken, and there are so many examples we have, right from Rwanda, Bosnia, Sierra Leone, and in many parts of Africa and South Asia to Middle East and Latin America. So United Nations played a very important role through its security measures, through its Security Council, to set an example of how to maintain a collective security. And for that they had rules, they had their own charter which talks about that if need arise, United Nations Security Council have to intervene militarily. As far as regional alliance like NATO is concerned, NATO also exemplifies collective security, and they do that with their Article 5, which clearly stating that an attack on one member is an attack on all, and this principle was invoked after the September 11, 2001 terror attack in US, which eventually led to a collective military action in Afghanistan. So at the regional level, you have the classic example of NATO, who within their charter, within their constitution, they have a specific Article 5 which clearly speaks about that an attack on one member of NATO would be considered an attack on everyone, and then entire NATO would lead a collective military action wherever it is needed. And the classic example was the 9/11 terror attack on US, which followed NATO forces operating or militarily intervening in Afghanistan. So thus, despite these challenges, collective security remain a vital concept for addressing global threat and fostering international cooperation. So end of the day, with all the challenges whatever we have at the global level, at the regional level, or maybe at the sub-regional level, collective security still remains a very, very important concept in international relation, and therefore it need to be addressed from global perspective so that we foster a better international cooperation. So this is all about the concept of collective security in international relations, and I will see you soon in the next tutorial. Till then, take care.